listening to KFWB News Talk 980. My name is Les Brown, and I'm a motivational speaker, a speech coach, and I'm your host Monday through Friday from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock. And today I invite you to call because today we're talking about something that everybody is concerned about, and that's young people, and particularly teenagers. There's an LA Times article, and this article showed after looking at and studying and researching 1,200 middle school students, they asked them to identify their three best friends. They found that students whose friends were prone to misbehave didn't do as well in school as kids whose friends were socially active in positive ways, such as participating in sports at school or completing their homework. So kids rub off on each other, peer pressure. And so when you think about that, we want to know, as a parent, what are the things that you did that worked? I know that encouraging and developing and giving them a strong sense of self, that's important. And I always encouraged and motivated my kids to believe in themselves, and not only through my message that I gave them, but I wanted my life to be an example of that, of one who's a risk taker and always pushing the envelopes and challenging myself to go to the next level. But the other thing is that I thought it was very important they develop their talents, and I think I spent more time on developing their talents than I did on character building, because I don't think you just get the character stuff by osmosis now when I look back. As a more mature person now, I know I would be a much better parent now at this stage of my life than I was starting out. And character development is very important. And there are people who are struggling with this whole issue. What works and what does not? And some people believe if you try and tell kids what to believe and what to think and who to work, who to associate with and who not to associate with, they will rebel against you, and they'll do just the opposite to spite you. How do you deal with that? How do you handle that? All right, let me talk to Ken. Ken, thank you in Crenshaw. Teaching about temptations. You say that's important in working with kids today?
Yes, sir, because I have a daughter, this is her third year in college at UC Davis. I have a son who's 17, who's graduating from Santa Monica High School this year. They're doing exceptionally well by the grace of God, but I've always told them to be yourself. You know, you're going to have peer pressure and you're going to have temptation. Kids want you to take drugs, join the gang, because I have a son, and I just teach them to be original and creative and just stay away from it. You know, when people ask you about it or try to join a gang or take drugs, believe me, it's a lot more beautiful things out here. And then to be a friend with your children. You know, you got to be also a friend as a parent, you know, to let them believe in you of what you're telling them, you know, that you're not telling them something trying to, you know, you want them to believe you and like he said, not be rebellious against you and go try it just because you say don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How's that been working? Are your kids doing well in school?
My kids are doing well. My daughter has a A in college. She has an A grade point average. My son is on the sports and football. I keep him busy in sports and basketball and whatever that comes around. And like I said, I just talk to him a lot, tell him how much I love him, and be a friend. You know, any problems they have, they can come talk to me. You know, and it's been working for me pretty much. Like I said,
you're keeping the lines of communications open.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Listen, Ken, thank you for listening and thank you for calling in and sharing that. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you. Listen, I want you to call. The number to call is 888-539-2980. 888-539-2980. He talked about being a friend. Now, and I'm sure Ken did not mean in being a friend with your kids that you don't also be a parent. That I think what he's talking about, being able to relate to them and being able to have the kind of relationship with them that you can talk, they can feel comfortable in talking with you about anything. I couldn't talk to my mother about sex. I just that was a conversation that was unthinkable for me to even talk to mom about sex and some of the challenges that I had growing up as a young man and trying to find myself as a young man. And so when you think about the advice of how to begin to raise teens today, I did not talk to my daughters about sex. I say, talk to your mama. Mama need to talk to you about that. And when I look back and things that I know now that I wish that I knew when I first started out as a parent, boy, I know I would be totally different. I would have some things I would keep, but there's so many other things that I've learned along the way. I want to hear from you. I want you to call me at 888-539-2980. 888-539-2980. How do you raise positive kids in this kind of environment that there's so many distractions. There are so many things that can pull them off the path. There's so many things that can overwhelm the values that you're working to instill in your kids today. And research showing that they have a predisposition to want to fit in, to want to identify with their friends. How do you offset that? What's the best way to counteract the things that the culture that we're in that can take them down a path that is undesirable, a path that is unhealthy, and create a negative mindset and behavior and blur their vision of what's possible for them in the future? The number to call is 888-539-2980. I want you to call me now. I want to hear from you. What are you doing that's working and raising teenagers? And what advice would you give to people if you've already gone through this, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt? What advice would you give to someone who's raising teenagers? And maybe they might have a rebellious one right now. I saw a young kid the other day. She must have had about 15 different piercings and earrings, and she must have been about 14 or 15 years of age. And I say, whoa. I was looking at all these earrings that are different ears, and some coming out her lip and one coming out of her nose, and tattoos everywhere. It looked like a billboard. And they say, well, they're finding themselves. I said, okay, wow, that's somebody that need to be found real quick. But you couldn't come up in Mamie Brown's house looking like that. You couldn't come up in my house looking like that. So no, you about to make me lose my mind up in here. I want you to call. I want to hear from you. What are the techniques that you would suggest as a parent and influencing and being able to instill some values in teenagers today, given all the peer pressure that they have to deal with, all the things that are pulling and fighting to get in their ears and capturing their eyes? The number to call is 888-539-2980. 888-539-2980. I do know this, that when kids find something that they believe in and something that's their passion, something that they love, and they immerse themselves into that, and when you have parents who participate along with them and they have a sense of direction with their lives, as well as couple that with a strong sense of identity, that they do well, as researchers talk about the fact that kids who have a strong sense of identity and feel secure within themselves, they have a less propensity of being able to be intimidated and joining gangs or wanting to follow the crowd. But there are some parents who don't know how to do this, how to instill that strong sense of self, because there's no manual that's given out that's saying, here's how you do this. Here's how to be an effective parent. You have to figure this thing out. And some people have figured out quite well. I feel very fortunate with the success that most of my kids have had. But when I look at what role did I play as a parent, what is it that I didn't know that I wish I knew, that I could have been more effective and could have been able to give them the tools that will handle the challenges that kids are facing today. I've gained some insights, and we're going to share those with you, and I'm sure you've got some insights too. The number to call is 888-539-2980, 888-539-2980. What we know is our kids are 40% of our population, but 100% of our future. My name is Les Brown. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. You're listening to KFWB News Talk 980.